Sometimes an actor can be so typed and stylized that we never really get a chance to know what they're really like, and this is true of any of the Three Stooges.
After decades of being locked away, Moe Howard's Garage has finally been opened, and what was discovered inside has left fans and historians stunned. The legendary leader of the Three Stooges was known for his comedy genius, but few knew about the secrets he kept tucked away in his private life. From rare memorabilia to mysterious personal items, the contents paint a surprising picture of the man behind the slapstick. So, could these discoveries rewrite what we thought we knew about Moe Howard? Stay tuned, because you won't believe what they saw. The untold mystery of Moe Howard's Garage. For more than 30 years, a plain, weather-worn garage door in a quiet corner of Hollywood remained stubbornly shut. This was no ordinary storage space. It belonged to Moe Howard, the legendary leader of the Three Stooges. In his will, Moe left one unusual instruction. This garage, tucked behind his modest Toluca Lake home, was never to be disturbed for at least 3 decades after his death. It wasn't just a request. It was a command that no one dared to break. Family gatherings sometimes carried whispers about that locked place. People wondered, but no one asked too directly. The house itself was far from the extravagant estates Hollywood stars were known for, just a single-story home on a peaceful street. Neighbors remembered Moe as warm, yet private, always ready with a wave but never eager to parade his fame. But that garage, that was different. It sat slightly apart from the house, its windows blocked, its door sealed with heavy padlocks that looked like they hadn't been touched in years. Even the local mailman, who worked the same route for decades, said it always felt strangely secretive, like there was something behind those walls that was never meant for the public eye. The intrigue only grew when old interviews resurfaced. Whenever someone brought up his prized possessions, Moe's eyes would light up, and he'd say with a cryptic smile, "It's my dream." But he never explained what that dream was. Friends recalled him spending hours inside the garage, especially during his final months. They'd hear the shuffle of papers, the dragging of boxes, but Moe always emerged alone, locking the door with deliberate care before disappearing back into the quiet of his home. After his passing, the mystery deepened. His will's instructions about the garage were precise, leaving no room for interpretation. 30 years must pass before it could be opened. No one knew why. What could possibly be so valuable or so dangerous that it had to remain hidden for an entire generation? The years rolled on, the garage becoming almost mythical, a time capsule waiting for its moment. Storms pounded its wooden frame, sun baked its paint, yet the locks never budged. Neighbors speculated wildly, from hidden treasures to lost film reels. But the Howard family never broke their father's command. When the door was finally opened, the truth was far beyond what anyone expected. What lay inside would shake everything fans thought they knew about the Three Stooges and reveal astonishing details about, but who is the man behind the bowl cut? And could his true story be stranger than his comedy? Keep watching. The Man Behind the Bowl Cut. Moses Harry Horwitz entered the world in Brooklyn in 1897, but almost no one called him by that name. To audiences across America and beyond, he was Moe Howard, the sharp-tongued, quick-tempered leader of the Three Stooges. On screen, he barked orders, slapped his co-stars, and played the bossy brute to perfection.
Then he smacks him on the head like that. Then he pokes his coconut into the letterpress. Ain't like that.
But those who truly knew him understood something the public never fully grasped. Moe Howard, the man, could not have been more different from Moe Howard, the character. Behind the curtain of slapstick chaos was a meticulous thinker with a shrewd mind for business. Moe wasn't just the frontman of the act. He was the engine that kept it running. He handled their contracts, tracked every dollar, and ensured that each member of the troupe was paid fairly. While audiences roared at his mock aggression toward Larry and Curly, the reality was that he cared deeply for them. When cameras stopped rolling, his concern wasn't about landing the next punchline. It was about making sure the team stayed together and financially secure through the unpredictable storms of show business. Away from Hollywood's bright lights, Moe was a surprisingly gentle soul. He adored children, doted on his family, and nurtured a love for learning that few ever suspected. His home overflowed with books. He spoke multiple languages. He even dabbled in poetry, writing verses during quiet evenings. Friends painted a portrait of a man who was thoughtful, patient, and respectful, an image that stood in striking contrast to the short-tempered figure the world saw on the silver screen. Yet the most fascinating part of Moe's story didn't play out under the studio's hot lights. It waited quietly, locked away in a place few ever entered, his garage. What seemed like an ordinary storage space was, in truth, a private archive, curated over decades with near-obsessive precision. Moe was not just a performer. He was a strategist who understood the power of preserving history. Every contract, every handwritten script, every piece of fan mail was carefully filed away, not merely as souvenirs, but as pieces of a bigger puzzle he was assembling. Moe was determined to shape his legacy. He had seen how the entertainment industry could twist stories, reduce lives to caricatures, and erase hard-earned accomplishments. In his later years, he often spoke of wanting the truth, his truth, to be told. The garage was his silent weapon against time and misinformation. Within it, he safeguarded the tangible proof of his journey from a struggling vaudeville performer named Moses Horwitz to the celebrated Moe Howard. But Moe's preservation wasn't just personal, it was business. The Three Stooges weren't simply a comedy act, they were a thriving enterprise. From their early days alongside Ted Healy to the iconic years with Larry Fine and Curly Howard, Moe was the mastermind, ensuring that the machine ran smoothly. He was the one reading the fine print, pushing for better terms, and mapping out strategies that kept them relevant while other acts faded. During their peak in the 1930s and 1940s, the Stooges churned out nearly 200 short films, starred in features, and packed theaters across the United States. Few knew that Moe was quietly documenting every deal, keeping meticulous records of the empire they were building. Years later, these documents would emerge from the garage, Columbia Pictures contracts signed by Moe, Larry, Curly, and Shemp, dating back to 1946. These weren't just relics, they were blueprints of how Moe had navigated Hollywood's treacherous business waters to protect his partners and secure their success. Alongside the contracts were roughly 300 scripts stretching from their earliest sketches with Ted Healy to their 1960s animated series, The New Three Stooges. These weren't simple studio copies. Many were covered in Moe's handwriting, revisions, punchline tweaks, staging notes, evidence of just how deeply involved he was in shaping their comedy. One script in particular stood out, Moe's original handwritten draft of 1934, Three Little Pigskins. It marked a pivotal moment, solidifying the trio's signature style and cementing their place in comedy history. Moe had kept it safe for decades, a personal reminder of when everything changed. His garage also held treasures from their travels, like materials from the Stooges' historic first trip to Britain in 1939. Posters from their appearance at the Blackpool Palace were stacked alongside tour schedules and promotional photos. Each artifact told a story, not just of laughter, but of careful planning and relentless work to turn a small vaudeville act into a global brand. For Moe Howard, the laughter was real, but so was the vision. He was crafting more than just comedy shorts. He was building an enduring monument to their work. Every document, every note, every preserved memento fit into a grand design that he alone understood. But among these preserved treasures lay something else, something that hinted at an even deeper truth he had kept hidden for years. And it was this hidden trove that led to the most startling chapter yet, the shocking secret archives. What could Moe have locked away that was too explosive to share in his lifetime? And why was he so determined for it to be found only after he was gone? Stay glued. The shocking treasures behind the locked door. When people thought of Moe Howard, they pictured the brash, bowl-cut leader of the Three Stooges, barking orders and delivering slapstick chaos. But locked away in his long-sealed garage was a truth far richer and more surprising. For over 3 decades, behind that weathered door sat a personal treasure, not just a vault of possessions, but a carefully curated world revealed the man's real passions, his proudest achievements, and his deepest values. At the very heart of this hidden trove gleamed a masterpiece of mid-century design, Moe's cherished 1952 Cadillac Series 62 sedan. This wasn't just a car, it was the embodiment of an era with its sleek chrome details, sweeping lines, and luxurious leather interior. More than a means of getting from one place to another, this Cadillac was Moe's symbol of the American dream, the tangible reward for years of tireless work in Hollywood. It was the car he drove on family outings, the one neighbors would occasionally glimpse him polishing in the driveway, and the one that appeared in countless personal photographs. These weren't staged for fans or the press. They were intimate snapshots. Moe showing his children the intricate dashboard, leaning proudly against the hood during birthdays, or packing up the trunk for vacations. Inside the garage, alongside the Cadillac, lay its complete history. Purchase documents, handwritten notes about memorable drives, and even small maintenance logs testified to just how much he treasured it. In one deeply personal note, Moe wrote that the Cadillac represented "how far I've come from Brooklyn," a quiet acknowledgement of the journey from a humble upbringing to Hollywood success. But the car was only the centerpiece of something even grander, an enormous, meticulously organized historical archive of the Three Stooges' career and Moe's personal life. More than 1,100 items were stored with precision. Original movie posters, rare promotional material, personal scrapbooks, handwritten scripts filled with his own jokes and revisions, and even artifacts from their international tours. One highlight was his personal poster from the 1935 short Uncivil Warriors, later valued at $30,000. Another was a set of scripts from live performances, peppered with the notes and creative ideas that shaped their timeless comedy. There were promotional posters from the Stooges' first British tour in 1939, family photographs from quiet holidays, home movies of Curly's wedding, and correspondence with friends and business partners. This was no random hoard. It was a carefully preserved record of both the public triumphs and private bonds that defined his life. His will had ensured it would remain untouched for decades, so when the locks finally came off, everything remained exactly as he'd intended. Among the most personal finds were letters and poems Moe had written to his family, gentle, thoughtful words that contrasted sharply with the gruff character he played on screen. They painted the portrait of a man who was not just a comedian, but a loving father, devoted husband, sharp businessman, and passionate historian of his own craft. Every document, every photograph, every artifact spoke to his deliberate effort to shape the story that would be told after he was gone. The Cadillac was more than a car, the posters more than souvenirs, and the scripts more than relics of old routines. Together, they formed a legacy, a carefully constructed message to future generations about who he truly was and what mattered most to him. And in the midst of this stunning discovery, one fact became clear. Moe Howard had been preparing for years to share his real story with the world, waiting for the perfect time to reveal. Now, what are his identity revelation? Could it be that the man we thought we knew was never the man he truly was? Stay tuned. Beyond Moe Howard, the private life and secret identity of a comedy icon. When people thought of Moe Howard, they pictured the gruff, bowl-cut leader of the Three Stooges, the man who barked orders, delivered sharp one-liners, and wasn't afraid to give Larry or Curly a slap for comedic effect. But tucked away in his garage, behind the boxes of scripts, contracts, and memorabilia, lay a series of discoveries that could rewrite everything the world believed about him. Among them was one revelation so unexpected, it challenged the very foundation of his identity. It began with a simple but startling artifact, a worn passport issued on May 11th, 1939. At first glance, it seemed like just another travel document from the Stooges' first international tour to Britain. But then came the detail that stopped researchers cold. The signature on the passport didn't read Moses Horwitz. the birth name the public assumed was his. Instead, in looping ink, it read Moses Howards. The difference was subtle, just a few letters, but its implications were massive. This wasn't a clerical mistake, it was deliberate. The passport hinted at a man who had lived with more than one identity, carefully maintaining the distinction between his public image and his private, legal self. It wasn't just the passport either. The garage contained legal paperwork, signed contracts, and correspondence that used various versions of his name. In some cases, he was Moses Horwitz. In others, Moses Howards. And then, of course, there was Moe Howard, the household name tied to his fame. It became clear that Moe had been meticulous about how his name appeared in different contexts. In Hollywood, where image and branding were everything, this was no small matter. Every variation of his name seemed tied to a purpose: legal matters, stage performances, or personal correspondence. The papers also revealed letters exchanged between Moe and studio executives, agents, and lawyers over the years. These weren't casual notes. They were strategic communications, carefully addressing questions or disputes over the exact spelling and form of his name. The revelation of his multiple identities painted a picture of a man who was not just a gifted performer, but a master at controlling how the world saw him. He understood the value of separating the performer from the person, protecting one while allowing the other to shine in the spotlight. For decades, fans had only seen Moe Howard, but hidden in those documents was Moses Howards, the man who had lived quietly behind the stage lights, shaping his story with intention and precision. And yet the garage didn't just hold secrets about Moe's professional life, it opened a window into his heart. Mixed in with contracts and scripts were personal treasures that revealed a man far removed from his stern, on-screen persona. There were handwritten poems, folded neatly and tucked into envelopes, each one brimming with warmth and sentiment. One in particular, written during a stay at a Boston hotel, stood out, titled "My Heart's Aglow." It was addressed to his beloved wife, Helen, and their daughter, Joan. In delicate, flowing handwriting, Moe poured out his feelings. "My heart's aglow with thoughts of you every minute of the day. My heart's aglow with dreams so true till the long night fades away. My heart's aglow with raptures new. My sweet, my angel, mine. My heart's aglow with love for you. I adore you. You're divine. My heart's aglow with memories sweet of what you've done for me. My heart's aglow. My life's complete. You're all I want. You three." This wasn't the voice of the slapstick boss audiences saw on screen. This was the voice of a man in love, a devoted husband and father, someone who carried his family with him in thought no matter where his career took him. These weren't hastily written notes. They were carefully crafted, suggesting not only deep emotion but also a quiet literary talent. The fact that Moe kept these poems alongside vital career documents showed how equally important his family life was to him. Other discoveries brought even more of the private Moe into focus. Black and white photographs, unseen by the public, captured him and his brother Shemp in their earliest performing days as Howard and Howard, around 1919. Long before the Three Stooges became a comedy powerhouse, the brothers had been honing their craft together, building a partnership that would eventually help define an era of entertainment. But perhaps the most intimate finds were the reels of 16mm home movies Moe had preserved with care. In them, the world could see the Moe Howard few ever met. The man laughing with his wife during a picnic, playing with his daughter in the backyard, or filming family vacations filled with light-hearted moments. These candid glimpses stripped away the fictional character entirely, revealing a warm, approachable man who found joy in simple moments away from Hollywood's demands. Taken together, the poems, photographs, and home films told a different story than the one etched in the public's memory. This was not the perpetually stern comic who thrived on chaos, but a man who valued stability, tenderness, and connection. He had worked hard to protect this side of himself from public consumption, keeping it safe in the privacy of his home, and ultimately, in the meticulously guarded space of his garage. The garage wasn't just a vault for professional records. It was a time capsule of Moe's life, blending the carefully managed image of Moe Howard with the far more personal, heartfelt world of Moses Horovitz. It became clear that this wasn't an accident. Just as he had managed his stage name and public persona with precision, he had preserved his personal memories with equal care. And yet, even with all these revelations, there was still something more waiting to be uncovered. Something that hinted at the closing chapter of a legacy he had been crafting in secret for decades. That last piece remained hidden, whispering of one final truth he wanted the world to see: the final legacy. So what could this ultimate chapter reveal about the man behind the laughter? And why did he choose to hide it until now? Stay tuned. Moe Howard's final legacy. By the early 1970s, Moe Howard's health was starting to fail. But rather than slowing down, he quietly worked on something monumental. Hidden away behind the locked doors of his garage was not just a collection of possessions, but a carefully constructed master plan to safeguard his story for future generations. This wasn't a random stash of memorabilia. What Moe had been assembling was nothing short of a complete historical record of his life and career, meticulously arranged so that decades later, the world would finally see the full picture. Among the boxes and cabinets were handwritten and typed pages that read like a draft of his autobiography. Some pages were neatly typed, others scrawled in his own handwriting, and many were filled with personal annotations, notes in the margins that revealed just how deeply he cared about accuracy and detail. The documents showed that Moe wasn't interested in letting others shape his legacy. He wanted to tell his story exactly as it happened. No embellishments, no distortions, and he wasn't just preserving his words. Legal papers found in the garage revealed that Moe had been planning this for years. He had made detailed arrangements in his estate to ensure that his possessions would be protected and eventually shared. Even the 30-year seal on the garage door wasn't some arbitrary choice. It was part of a deliberate timeline. Moe seemed to know that revealing his life's work too soon might not have the same impact. By waiting decades, he ensured that the moment the world finally saw what he'd been hiding, it would carry the weight of history. Inside, every item had been preserved with care. Rare movie posters, original scripts, and deeply personal memorabilia were protected from dust and decay. Each piece was documented, as though Moe understood both the historical importance and the financial value of what he was leaving behind. Some of the most remarkable discoveries weren't just about Moe, but about the lasting power of the Three Stooges themselves. The garage held treasures that proved their enduring impact on entertainment history. Among them were the very first officially licensed Three Stooges toys ever made, a complete set of hand puppets from around 1937. These charming relics were more than just novelty items. They marked the moment the Stooges crossed from film into the hearts and homes of fans worldwide. It was proof that their slapstick mayhem wasn't just a passing fad. It had turned into a cultural phenomenon almost overnight. The puppets also told another story: the early beginnings of Stooges merchandising, which would later become a significant part of their legacy. Awards, certificates, and letters of recognition also filled the space, shattering the myth that the Three Stooges were dismissed as mere lowbrow comedians. These honors showed that, within the industry, Moe and his partners were respected as pioneers who had carved out a unique place in entertainment history. This was no accident. It was the result of one man's determination to ensure the world would one day understand the full scope of his work and influence. And that's just the beginning. The secrets inside Moe Howard's garage have only started to rewrite his story. So, what hidden truths about the comedy legend will surface next? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.